Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Thank you all for being here today. Welcome, welcome, everyone. All newcomers, I welcome you as well. Thank you for being here. So, guys, I'm sorry about yesterday. I had a really extremely busy day, and by the time I got home, it was so late and I was so tired. And one of the things I don't want to do is when I'm extremely exhausted to come on here because then I can't give my best to you. So it's better that I rest and then I recoup, and after getting rest, I can come on and give the best to you guys because that's so important. So, how's everyone doing? Happy Friday. It's Veterans Day. Let's take the time to acknowledge all the vets out there and the things that they went through to, protect America, protect our country. So, a shout out to all vets. You guys are awesome. And if any of you are watching, please continue to watch the channel and be encouraged and enlightened here. This is a channel of respect, no judgment zone, and here is we uplift here and help others and encourage them. So thank you all for being here today. Also, I also want to say, as I say each video, I am not a licensed therapist of any sort. I don't have a degree in therapy. And so I wanted to make that clear to newcomers as well here. I am someone who is sharing information on how I got through times of extreme grief, loss, and pain, and, and some of the ways that I healed myself. Today, we're going to do something a little different here. The topic of discussion today is stories that shape your life. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to start by talking about my grandmother. My grandparents had a farm in North Carolina. And because I'm from New York and my mom and I and the rest of my siblings lived in New York, I didn't see them as often as I wanted to. My grandfather worked very hard doing the farm work. And when I did see them, which was during my school break and during vacation, when my mom had vacation time from work, we would go and visit them. And it was a joy to be around my grandmother. She had 12 children, 11 living at the time. And she was a slender, elegant woman with a quiet spirit. I love my grandmother. She always seemed to be patient with things in life, things that occur. And I admire that about her. One of my memories was sitting on the front porch of the house, snapping beans in a pot. And I talk about this because we would sit there together doing that. And we would have the radio on the porch or be on and have the music from the 70s and 80s. And we would watch the sunset together. I miss my grandmother a lot, just as much as I miss my mother. I wish that I had more time to spend with her when I was growing up because we lived in New York and I only saw her a few times a year. But I really wish I had more time to spend with her to learn things. However, even though that's the case, when I talk here about certain situations, events, people, places, and things, I normally do not give names of anything. Um, but however, this particular person I'm going to talk about now, I am going to name her because she meant a lot to my life. Her name was Miss Josephine Hill. When I was a teenager, this woman came into my life and she was like a second grandmother to me. Very tall, very elegant, very subdued, and very ladylike. And as a teenager, when I was 14 or 15, my life was so different because I'm I was always like the black sheep, the odd one, the oddball, the misfit in the family. And so while the rest of my siblings were popular, had a whole lot of friends going out, hanging out, etc. I was considered the weird one, and I spent a lot of time reading books. One of the main books I read I read at the time I was a teenager, every book that Danielle Still had written. I was like, really, I loved her stories. And when they made them, a few of them, into a Lifetime movie, I started, I was just like, wow. And I was just different. And, you know, it just, that's the way it was. And so I spent a lot of time to myself. And when I met Josephine Hill, because she was part of the religious organization that I belonged to as I was growing up, that I'm not going to name here, but um, she and I became close because she was like a second grandmother to me. And I look forward to going to her house and spending time because this is where the storytelling came into my life as well, besides my mom and my grandmother, because she would tell me about her husband, and he was gone already. He had passed away. She would show me pictures of her husband, her children. She was of German descent, and she would always make tea and have snacks and stuff. And then she would tell me these stories, and I would sit there, sometimes on the floor, listening to her stories for hours. And one of the things that she molded and shaped my life in ways that she doesn't even didn't even realize. And one of the things she taught me is how to be a woman, how to be a lady. Always be ladylike, never lower my standards of who I am or to behave out of character to benefit someone else. Well, in reality, meaning never dim my light to let somebody else shine, and she taught me so much as a teenager because I felt like a misfit, and she taught me how to shine, my light, and how to, you know, um, just be a woman and be proud of being who I was. And, and every weekend, not every weekend because she had family and things, but every week she invited me over, and it would be like on a weekend. And I look forward to going to her house because I know there was going to be a snack and some tea. And then she would tell stories and I would listen. And I was so impressed with her and so close to her that in college, in my writing class, I wrote an essay about her and what she brought to my life. And I talked about my English teacher, Mr. Krell, as well. In my high school yearbook, he wrote to me, Lisa Vaughn, never sell yourself short. At the time that he wrote that, I didn't know what that meant, but life taught me what that meant. Stop being subservient to everyone else and giving, and nothing is being given to me in return. And so I've learned a lot of lessons on this path called life. Life stories help also. And just listening to people and what they've gone through, because people, you really don't know people until you sit and talk to them and hear their stories of what they've gone through, good and bad, and how their life has been molded because of it, into molded and shaped into who they are today. And that's what Miss Josephine Hill gave to me, and had I not spent all that time with her, I don't know where I would be today. I don't know what I would be doing, um, because it kept me off the streets. It kept me out of um, getting involved with negative situations and people and etc. And it shaped my life in so many different ways. And so it just, and I want to just talk about her. She's no longer here today, but she brought a lot to my life, also, like my grandparents did, my grandmother in particular. So, this is one story that really shaped my life in so many ways as the person I am today. So I'm saying all of this to everyone because never allow negative experiences that happen to you within your life to cause you to be cold and bitter, because life can make you or it can break you. This thing called life and a journey of life is not easy. There's so many things going on in this world today, mostly spinning on negativity. Don't allow yourself to be caught up in it, and don't allow yourself to be in despair all the time because of what is happening in the world today. And that's important, and that's a lesson I myself had to learn. Just because things are negative doesn't mean that I have to allow myself to succumb to it. Today, when I was out earlier, because today's a holiday for me and I had to go out, um, and I had a situation with the headlight on my car, and I had to take care of that. And I'm, talking to a guy, he was just in this mood, and we were just talking. And as I started talking to him, I just realized he was having a bad day and whatever. And at the end of the conversation, he gave me a hug. I hugged him, and whatever I said to him uplifted him, and that made me feel good that I was able to add and to his day, because I have those days too. We all have good days and we have bad days. And to know that there is still some good people in this world that we live in today, because that's difficult for me. I have my flaws like everybody else. It's difficult, but God is showing me that there are still some good people in this world today, even though we have all this toxicity around us. um, Always be true to yourself, regardless of what's going on in this world today. Never sell yourself short, as my English teacher said to me in my yearbook. And that means to never sell yourself short or forget about your needs and your life, just because of someone else. You know, think about what your needs are and what's important to you. And it's important. And all of this is related to healing as well. Because when we lose someone or a few someones who meant everything to our world and to our life, they're no longer here. It affects our health and our physical and mental health. And because these individuals are no longer here, we can choose to be cold and bitter because they're not here anymore. And we could say, God, why did you allow this to happen, etc. Or we can look at it from a different perspective. As I talked about the other day about algebra and how you can do two different formulas and still come up with the same answer at the end as the end result. The same as life. We can be bitter and cold because of certain negative experiences that happen to us in life or because of loss, or we can turn that and flip it around, you know, to our, and, to make it a positive thing instead of something negative. It's not easy to do, but we have to persevere through the pain and the hurt and everything, because there are good things in this world. Always be your authentic self. And what I do is tune out the noise. Tune out the toxicity, tune out the noise. Don't let it get to you. Don't succumb to it. Just because somebody else is on a bandwagon and they're doing the wrong thing and engaging in toxic stuff doesn't mean that you have to be there just to be popular, and it's not for you. Don't do it. Just be your authentic self. Take the time you need to heal yourself. And don't allow anyone to make you think because you're seeing a therapist, a grief therapist, or something that you're doing for yourself to build up your physical and mental health. And because they don't like it or they think it's weird or unusual, never allow anyone to make you, do something that you're not comfortable with, or not take care of your mental and physical health. Because without that, people, we don't have anything. You can't take care of anything else or anyone else if your physical and mental health is lacking. When someone, and also the way I look at things, because I'm not here to tell people what they should and shouldn't do. I'm just sharing my personal experiences and what worked. When I had a lot of toxicity around me and people who were unwilling to change, I didn't just automatically cut off, block, and delete it. What I did is have conversations about what's affecting me in my relationship with them, whether it was a romantic one or a friendship or whatever it was. I would say, this is what's affecting me and this has to change for the better, etc. But if I have to have those conversations 10 and 15 times, I'm not going to spend on a will or a record. I'm just going to cut off, block, and delete, because I'm not going to allow anything that's going to tear down or affect my physical and mental health. I don't care what it is, and when it's toxic, and a person is unwilling to change for the better, I got to release it and let it go, because I can't let it affect me and tear me down. And one of the things, and that's why I guess, for myself, I am still single by choice, not because I have to be, but because for me, you know, I'm not going to take in a lot of toxicity. I have my ways just as well as somebody else. Like I said, I have my faults too. However, I'm willing to see things from a different perspective, because my thing is this. I try not to judge a book, especially if I hadn't read the stories. And that's why I titled this title Stories that shape your life, because people can tell you things and you don't know things about them, why they do certain things the way they do it, or why, etc. But once you sit and have those conversations, you learn things that you didn't know before, and then you can see it from a different perspective and engage in it differently. But when a person is unwilling to change because they want to be toxic and they want things their way, like I talked about in a previous video, they want the whole pie instead of a piece of it. You know, that's not going to work in a relationship, because that means that they are getting everything they need, but I'm not getting my needs met. And so it's not going to work. And if you sit and try, when I sit and try, and those particular individuals were not willing to change for the better, I have to cut off, block, and delete. Life is too short to be spinning on a world that's going nowhere. And I won't engage in that. And I used to do it all the time, because I used to always think I can change this for the better through my example, do this and that. No, you can't. A person has to want to change. A person has to want to compromise. They have to want things to be better. But if they want to stay in toxicity and they want to be on that toxic will, there's nothing you, me, or anybody else can do until they make a decision that they want to change that for the better. So stop trying. One of the things I also say is, for myself, I had to learn to stop trying to change everything, you know, and stop trying to say I can fix it, because I can't. And some things I have to learn to give to God, and leave it with, and just leave it and go on with my life. I'm not going to chase people. I'm not going to run somebody down to chase them to be in my life or whatever. Things for me have to be natural. If it's not natural, let things naturally build up. And one of the things with me, when it comes to just relationships in general, is especially, dating and stuff, when people are ready to just impulsively jump into stuff, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take my time. I like things that are fun. Let's go to a carnival, let's go to an arcade, let's go bowling, let's do something fun, and let things build up naturally. That's the best course of action. But when somebody doesn't want that because they're ready to jump into something, I won't do it. I will let it go. I see things from a different perspective after so much loss, and then having to heal and work on myself, you know. And healing process is always an ongoing process. And I don't do things out of impulse, as I used to do from time to time. I just don't. Life is. I understand what my mom said when she said she just want peace. At some point you get to a point in life you just want peace. You don't want the BS, you don't want the drama, you don't want the toxicity, you just want the peace. And one of the things I had to do is let people go because they were trying to play God in my life. And no one has a right to play God in somebody else's life because they don't like um, how they walk, how they talk, how they look, how they shine. They don't like it. So they want to, do toxicity against it. And I had to cut off, block, and delete those things from my life because they were not benefiting me. They were, I just couldn't have that in my life as I continue to heal and to grow, you know? Um, and when people keep trying to do these things, people forget about God, whether they believe in Him or not. God will come through to balance out these scales and to bring about judgment in certain situations when it's necessary. And so the things that I can't control or handle, I give them to God, you know, and then I keep it moving. I don't get into telling people what to do, how they should live their life, none of that stuff, But what I won't do is take in any form of toxicity whatsoever. I mean, it exists, it's around us, but when somebody is trying to control me or manipulate, I cut off, block, and delete. And I know what that looks like now because I've been through so much of it. And I don't engage in it and let myself, get involved too much. Healing is the key factor, and I'm here to talk to people who are feeling low, depressed, and they may be going through so much pain and grief due to loss and due to other situations that they don't feel like they can talk to anybody about. But you can listen to this because, you know, I will always share ways that I've gotten through things. And not only just being here on this channel, but to connect with a grief therapist because that's what I do. I see a therapist every week, and you don't have to go to an office. You can have you can meet by Zoom, and you don't have to have everyone in your business letting them know what you're doing, etc., and so forth. Because not everyone will agree with what you need to do to heal yourself. But it's important that you do these things. If it's working, continue to move forward. Also, bereavement groups are a good place too. Those are online as well on Zoom, where people talk about some of the things that they had to do to heal themselves to get through the grief and the pain, uplifting things, positive things that they were doing to help themselves, and they share those things at these groups. And maybe you can hear some of the messages and apply it within your own life to help you. One of the things I'm going to say when I talk about grief is time. Give yourself time to get through the pain, because in the beginning, when it's fresh and new, you're going to be in a lot of pain. And then, these moments of trigger because of the passed over loved one. But know that your passed over loved one would never, ever want you to stay in a place of pain, depression, and despair. They want you to live your life and embrace it to the fullest, because this is life is short, and we need to embrace it to the fullest. So that's the message today. Anyone want to hear a particular topic, please share in the comments. Let me know what you want to talk about. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know, how these videos are helping you and how you're doing with your physical and mental health. Remember that you're going to have good days where you feel good and you can do a lot. And then you're going to have those days where you don't even feel like getting out of bed. Don't beat yourself up about it. When you feel like that, think about one thing that you can do throughout the day that's going to make you feel better. And try to get that done. One step at a time, one day at a time. That's how we need to do this. Thank you all for being here today. Happy Friday to you all. And I will be back again with a new message, probably by Sunday. And share this video. Subscribe to the channel. Because, different days we're going to be talking about different things. But it all is connected with healing and healing your pain. And at pain when you learn how to turn pain into power into purpose, then you can pay it forward with everything that you've learned and you've gone through, and you can help other people so that they can get better and they can find ways to heal their grief as well. Thank you all for being here today. This is Lisa, shedding love and light always to you. And everyone, have a good Friday and a good weekend. And I will be back with you by Sunday. Bye for now, everyone.